Hello and good morning, Arizona and Colorado. This is Jason, along with Brian. We are doing the relief pitcher for Joe on a Friday. We're happy to be on the Arizona show again. We were on last Wednesday, had a huge response. I think we did a pretty good job. Brian and I were happy to put on our best show, if we so to say, and we're here today, and to go into it, I think right off the top, I think everybody that's listening, you're probably looking at that gold price, huge dip in that gold price, and that especially in that silver price. Hey, Brian, are you there?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. You made it. It's Friday.
And Brian, you got the current gold and silver price, and we're going to go into this deal that we ran on Wednesday and Thursday, and then we're going to go with something we got today.
I sure do, Jason. Yes, indeed. Everything is down at this point in time on this crazy Friday, the Fed News week that Joe talked about in detail earlier. Gold's down $24 today so far at $12.77 and 80 cents. Silver's down 61 cents, which is big for that. $16.52, and the Dow's down at the moment, 244 points, 243 at 24,932. So a busy day.
Okay, and so on Wednesday, here in Colorado, and starting in the morning on Wednesday, Joe ran some $20 gold Liberties and St. Gaudens, a limited amount that we had, at $13.25, with the caveat that, hey, if gold goes down by the close of business on Friday, we will adjust that price. So now with this huge dip, the people that took advantage of that, we're already going to adjust you down to $13.05. You've just gained $20 per coin. However, today, Joe was able, before he had to go on his way to what he needed to do, was able to secure more coins. We're going to have more $20 Liberties. We are going to be able to sell these today at $1,300. The guys that bought on Wednesday and Thursday that we agreed to bring your price down, you're getting an extra $5. That is also going down to $1,300. Everybody this week gets to get the lowest price because of where the markets have went, and we're going to be selling $20 gold Liberties for $1,300. 1-800-951-0592. We also have silver. We secured 75 rolls of backdate silver. When we get something good at a good deal, and when the market drops, it's a winning opportunity for you, the customers of the Patriot Trading News Hour. So we're going to go to about $275 over spot. We're doing rolls of Silver Eagles for $385. 1-800-951-0592. You can go to allamericangold.com. Just load up. There's no reason. There's no real strong reason for something like this. You never know when somebody up in high places is dumping a lot of paper, or what makes that market move like it did today. But like we said on Wednesday when we sold those coins, nobody loses. We'll adjust the price down. We're coming. You guys at $13.25 are now down to $1,300 on those $20 gold pieces.
Yeah, and as existing customers, longtime listeners know, when Joe comes up with these deals, he passes along. He makes what Patriot Radio needs, or Patriot Trading Group needs to make in order to keep it going, and passes that savings along to you. So in these crazy days, here's your next opportunity. Act on it. Don't wait. Get some gold, get some silver, put it away. That's kind of been my motto. I remember the early days talking with Robbie Noel. That was his wisdom, words of wisdom to me was, you could look at it as an investment, but the bigger function of it is as wealth investment. So get it, put it away. Hopefully you don't need to use it, but if you come upon a rainy day and you need to, there you have it. But take advantage of these deals that Patriot has secured.
Now on it was two Wednesdays, not 2 days ago, but the previous Wednesday when Brian and I came on and we covered that the conspiracy of the Titanic, and we got a huge response out of Arizona. We got a huge response out of the Colorado guys, and one of the reasons, I've said it before, that I think Joe needs to have other guys here, one of the ones going to help him out is, hey, Joe wants to take some days off once in a while. Instead of giving you guys yesterday's recording, you get us, or maybe you get our partner Glenn coming on, or whatever combination.
I got to say, Joe,
something new.
The topics Joe covers, it's hard work. You got to pay attention. You got to listen. He's digging into some details. It's awesome information. It requires some effort on our listening part for sure.
And so and exactly what Brian's saying, and I'd like to go on top of that. We all know, Joe talks about some of what his sons are in school. He's got one going to play college football. Well, college football home games for him is a road trip. It's going to be somewhere. I think it's Wake Forest, if I remember right. It's going to be in Illinois. So, knowing Joe, I'm pretty sure he's going to want to attend quite a few football games, and that's where we probably are going to be coming in on some Fridays. And Brian and I have some plans to make these Friday shows really interesting. And just stay tuned and. Remember the gold deal, $1,300 for $20 gold pieces, 1-800-951-0592. Now, on the other side of the break, some no-miss radio. You got to come on, listen to the story. We're going to be covering something about human leg fajita tacos. Join us on the other side of the break for that. Welcome back to the Patriot Trading News Hour. Your hosts, Brian and myself, Jason. We were leaving off the break with a little nugget of what we're going to delve deep into. Brian and I are 3 months into this new show, and we're always researching all the topics and the news of the day. And sometimes we just want to delve into where is America today? What is going on, and how crazy really is the state of this country. And we ran across this little story that we're going to delve into. And the guy serves his friends tacos made from his own amputated leg. Brian, did you want to start us into this?
Yes, this is going to be a little morsel or a little nugget. We're going to have a lot of play-ons here, so please pardon the morbid humor, but this was something picked up even on Drudge a couple of days ago. This is a Vice story. Starts out with a quote: "One friend had to spit me into a napkin. If you could taste human flesh in an ethical way, would you? It's the kind of question you ask after watching Silence of the Lambs, but stoned. No matter how you respond, you never expect anyone to hold you to your answer. But in a recent Reddit post, user incredibly shiny shart. Don't ask me.
Okay, we can stop there for a minute. This guy's name, as he's talking on this site, is incredibly shiny shart. This is the guy that's going to be serving up some leg tacos. And when Brian brought this story to my attention, I could not. I thought it was a funny story, but as we're going to get into this, we'll have lots of interruptions. This is some of the craziest stuff I've ever heard. I mean, especially just the way this guy describes what he's doing. So sorry about that. Keep on going. We're going to keep on going into this.
This is not an Onion story, the sarcastic stories. This is an actual story. They don't say where it happened, but so going by the handle, incredibly shiny shart, shared the story of a motorcycle crash that put him face to face with the macabre hypothetical. When a car hit his bike and sent him careening into a nearby forest, his foot was shattered to the point that he would never walk on it again. When the doctor asked if he wanted to amputate, his one question was, "Can I keep it?"
Can I keep it?
It reminds me, my late father had some diabetes issues and had a few of his toes that had to separate with, and he did ask that question, "Can I keep them?" Anyways, back to the story. The doctor said yes. On Sunday, July 10th, 2016, 3 weeks after the accident, Shiny, who prefers to remain anonymous, invited 10 of his most open-minded friends to a special brunch.
Now check this out. This guy is planning to eat his leg, and somehow he convinced 10 friends to come along and eat his leg.
You know, even in the crazy high school days, I don't know that that thought ever crossed my mind of, hey, if I ever lost an appendage, should we eat it?
I had some wild friends. I had some crazy friends I hung out with, and if I had to lose my leg, and if I for some reason wanted to decide to serve it up for dinner, I don't know if I had 10 guys that were crazy enough for that. I don't know if I had one guy that was crazy enough for that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
right.
Continue on.
So they had normal stuff. They had apple strudel, quiche puff pastries, fruit tarts, and chocolate cake. They drank gin, lemonade, punches, and mimosas. So that's probably a big part of it, thanks to gin, lemonade. And then the main course came out: fajita tacos made from Shiny's severed human limb. Now, mind you, the
bizarre.
U.S. does not have a federal law banning cannibalism. Idaho is the only state in which the simple act of eating human flesh can land you in prison. Laws against murder, buying and selling human meat, never mind Planned Parenthood, and corpse desecration make cannibalism difficult, but technically legal in the other 49 states. It's rare someone able to consent to being eaten meets someone interested in eating them, but even that scenario raises a ton of ethical questions. A Belgian man named Detlev Gunzel was sentenced to 8.5 years in prison for butchering and eating a Polish businessman with his consent.
So
you remember that one.
So check this out. We covered some stories that maybe Arizona hasn't heard because we are not as readily available in Arizona, but we covered some stories about a woman in Doraville, Georgia, where she was sentenced to probation. She couldn't drink alcohol, $1,000 fines, all because she didn't paint her house.
Or the grass is too long. They haven't mowed their grass. They got weeds. All these crazy city ordinances, but
yeah. And if she breaks probation, she could go to jail over paint peeling on her house. And here we got a guy that's committing cannibalism. But hey, as long as it's done in the right way, it's non-punishable. It's not weird. It's not. So, anyways, let's do you want to go ahead and continue? The United States.
Yeah, don't worry. I was about to say before starting into this that loosen your tinfoil hats. This is something that actually took place. This is not. We're not making some conclusions based on strong evidence. This is a real story of what actually happened.
This is an actual story.
Chinese is the rare case where cannibalism was not only legal but ethical. He documented the entire process, but due to the graphic nature of the photos, we have omitted several from this post. View the full set, and it's got a link, and I have not ventured to go look at those. There's enough.
When Brian sent me the story, I went and looked at them. They showed pre-operation, operation, post-operation, the pre-cooking, the post-cooking, and the actual eating of this food. And yeah, it happened, man. It's right there. You can tell it's the same leg that's cut off. You can tell it's a real story. This actually happened. This is something that actually happened.
I actually wanted to eat tacos and fajitas in the future, so I opted not to.
Well, yeah, that's something that Brian and I was talking about was when we talk about getting into debt and how bad that is for you. And I always use the analogy, hey, you shouldn't be getting into debt, and paying for a taco that you bought 10 years ago. And Brian brought that to my attention. He's like, this brings that whole analogy to a whole different level.
Indeed.
Go ahead.
So the Vice story, we asked this 38-year-old why he decided to feed himself to his friends, what he tasted like, and how the experience changed him. The following interview has been edited and condensed for length and clarity. So Vice asks, why did you do this? And Shiny responds, originally, I wanted to have it taxidermied or freeze-dried. How cool would it be to have my freeze-dried or taxidermied foot standing around the house as a lamp or a doorstop or something? All of this came out of the idea that, hey, it's my foot. It's not going to be cremated and chucked into a landfill. It's a part of me, and I want it back.
I don't think that's actually too unusual, because I know a lot of even all the way back to the Civil War, the guys would save their severed limbs, and they'd want to keep it. I don't fault that. It's where this guy goes that just it goes beyond the bizarre.
Well, yeah, like the miniseries Lonesome Dove. That's Gus at the end. Told the doctor he hoped he didn't throw it away because he might want to use the bone for a walking stick. So I think that's maybe in the spirit of that movie from the 90s. Goes on. How did you convince the doctor to give you your leg? Most hospitals have policies where they will release your body parts to you because of some religions where you have to be buried whole. So I just signed the paperwork. My mom, who was helping me get back on my feet, so to speak, drove me back to pick it up. She doesn't know I ate it, though. I somehow think now she does by now. I went inside and the hospital gave me my foot in a red plastic bio-waste bag. I brought it to the car and immediately put it in the cooler. It was pretty bizarre. I don't know what he told his mom he was picking up, if she's the one that drove him there, but anyways.
Oh, my God.
How did you preserve it before the meal? I got back to my place and I froze it. I couldn't find a taxidermist who would take me seriously, and freeze drying was too expensive. It would have been $1,200 to freeze dry the thing. If I had the money, I would have done it. Eventually, I decided to cast it in plaster to use as a doorstop, then capture a 3D rendering so I can make little keychains.
All right,
so
here's
like
the guy,
entrepreneur.
Here's the guy with his leg, and it's not I want to keep it. He's thinking about casting it. He wants to make copies of it. He wants to make a 3D rendering so he can make keychains. This is a person in America. I mean, like I said, I've been around some weird guys, and I told Brian when we read this, man, I would love to meet this guy just to trade some stories with him, because I can't imagine where this guy is. He's got to be entertaining to sit around and talk with it.
This kind of makes some of the other bizarre stuff, aside from the spiritually appearing face eaters. This one gives some new perspective to, like, Robert De Niro going on his tirade about Trump with his Trump derangement syndrome. This kind of gives a new tinge to some of that. Oh, let's see. I lost my place.
Got back to the house. We got back to the house.
Thank you. Got back to the house. He says take the foot out, but the picture shows it's like just above his calf, so it's more than his foot. But maybe
it's more than his foot. Yeah, it's his lower leg.
He's calling it his foot. So he took, let's just say leg. Took the leg out, and it was so gross, man. It was covered in blood and had iodine all over it. After I cleaned it off, I was pleasantly surprised by how well preserved it was. It's not like they preserved it in formaldehyde or anything, but when you think about beef, which can be dry aged for months, I suppose it makes sense. I had 4 friends with me at the time.
He's comparing his leg to beef now. Now he's comparing his leg to beef.
I'm still trying to separate. I'm trying to maintain that separation in my mind, because I'm a beef eater. Chicken's all right, but I'm a beef. It's what for supper. But so I'm trying to.
How do you look at your leg and start considering it as a piece of beef? I don't. That's.
I know. I don't.
Anyways,
yeah.
Keep on going. I'm interrupting.
Yeah, he had 4. Okay, this is quoting what he said. I had 4 friends with me at the time, and it was all surreal. We picked it up and we were playing with it. It didn't seem like it was a foot. It just seemed like an object, not a piece of a person. There was no emotional connection. I could think, yep, that's my foot right down there. But there wasn't some deep part of me that felt weirded out. In fact, that was the weirdest part, was that it wasn't weird. The
weirdest part is that it wasn't weird.
How did you prepare the foot to be eaten? Before we cast it, I quickly took a knife from my kitchen and cut a chunk off the top of my shin. The skin was already kind of off from the surgery, leaving a big chunk exposed. I just took it, put it in a plastic bag, and put it in my freezer. You know that scene in National Lampoon's Family Vacation where Chevy Chase is just saying, "This is crazy! This is crazy! This is crazy!" That's how I felt. I thought, this is probably the peak weirdness of my life. I hope it doesn't get weirder than this. After we cast the leg, took a bunch of pictures, put it in a box of flowers, and cremated it. And then, how did you convince 10 friends to eat the foot with you? I invited 11 people. I said something like, remember how we always talked about how if we ever had the chance to ethically eat human meat, would you do it? Well, I'm calling you on that. We doing this or what? 10 said yes. I guess we're a weird group. There were several different friend groups involved. I approached one group with the idea, and they were like, totally, because of how often are you going to get this chance? One friend said that she asked her boyfriend, a chef, if he would do the cooking. Perfect. The final tally was the chef and his girlfriend. My ex-girlfriend, one friend from college, two friends I had a couple years, two I'd known for over 10 years, and one of their daughters. So they're sort of getting their own kids involved in this, who would also help cast the foot.
Before we go too far, we're going to continue into this. Before we get into the break, I want to remind, if you enjoy this fine type of programming, we got the huge gold deal today, $1,300 for $20 gold liberties. Everybody that ordered on Wednesday and Thursday, if you're just tuning in, you got that $1,325 deal where we were going to back up. Gold had a huge slide today. So everybody, the new coins that we got in for the deal today and the coins that we sold previous, they're all going in at $1,300 per coin. If silver's your thing, we have an allotment of 75 backdated silver eagles. Silver took its slide today. You'll be able to get rolls of silver eagles at $385. The number to call, 1-800-951-0592. When we get to the other side of the break, we'll be dealing a little more into incredibly shiny shart and the eating of leg tacos. Stay tuned.
I guess you could say it's Wacky Friday. Stay with us.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, presenting a daily conservative pro-family perspective since 1983 and continuing the legacy of Phyllis Schlafly. Now, here's the president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, Ed Martin.
Many of us know the history lessons of the English King Richard the Lionheart, named for his courage in leading crusades to win back Jerusalem. King Richard's legacy towers over much of England's history, but today marks a special anniversary that came after Richard's reign. 5 years after his death, his brother John held tyrannical rule over England. Angry barons from across the country fought back and captured London to end John's reign of terror. On this day, June 15, in 1215 A.D., the barons of England surrounded King John on the plains of Runnymede and forced him to sign the Magna Carta. This was the first time in history that the arbitrary powers of a king were limited. Why does this 800-year-old English document matter to us? Most Americans have heard about the Magna Carta in history class, but many don't know the vital role it plays in our American constitutional republic. The fighting between the barons and King John continued, leading many to believe that the Magna Carta was a dead document. But only slowly, and over time, have we come to recognize what the Magna Carta signified. In reality, it serves as the birth certificate of the rule of law. This simple and bluntly practical document became the foundation of what was a uniquely English concept, personal liberty. Within 100 years of its signing, the early Parliament began to develop, and law became something not based on decisions made by the king alone, but by the king in Parliament. The Magna Carta profoundly influenced the English Bill of Rights, written in 1689, which led us to the works of such philosophers and legal minds as Sir William Blackstone and John Locke. These men and their commentaries on the early laws of England serve as one of the primary inspirations of our American founders. The lasting principles contained in our American founding documents, from the rule of law and due process to individual inalienable human rights, can be directly traced to this momentous anniversary of the Magna Carta.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. Whether it's the vision of our founding fathers, the courage of our veterans, the moral compass of Christopher Columbus, or the fortitude of presidents like Lincoln and Reagan, the truth of history should not be undercut by liberal ideology. At Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, we honor history even as we look to the future. Join us at phyllisschlafly.com. That's phyllisschlafly.com.
Patriot Radio News Hour on a Friday. Your guest hosts, Brian and Jason, talking about crazy doesn't even begin to describe it for me. Before I continue, I wanted to reiterate what the Phyllis Schlafly middle break reminded us of, and that was 1215. On this day in history, King John signed the Magna Carta. A couple more. On this day in history, June 15th, in 1775, George Washington is appointed Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army. I had a couple more, but that's probably enough for now. We better get back into the meat of the story.
Yeah,
and
as a reminder, Brian and I believe. We don't know what Joe's schedule will be in the future, but if he starts going to football games and needs to take that early flight out of Arizona, I believe that Brian and I will probably work a few Fridays, and we're playing around with the idea because we all know Jack Daniels Friday, and we don't want to. I don't think there's anything we're going to do to one up that. But when we get stories like this, or we want to run something like conspiracy, like the Titanic, we're a little bit inspired by the incredibly shiny Shart. We're thinking of playing with some wording on that, maybe having the Crazy Shart Friday, or what was the one you said, Brian, before we got on?
I was just thinking about Batwing Friday. Batwing Crazy.
Bat Shart Friday, or
yeah, I don't know.
We're playing with it, and obviously we'll get input. We could be completely on an island on this. We might be grossing out the audience. We don't know, but we're throwing it out there. We wanted to go a little lighter, a little less information. We didn't even know if we were going to be here on Friday until just into Thursday. So let's go into this. We want to finish this guy. It actually gets more bizarre. So we're gonna have Brian read more into this.
Yeah, don't worry. We're not smoking what a lot of people are smoking up here in Colorado. We're stone cold real here reading this to you. But let me continue.
We're the comfortable that's being disturbed right now. That's why we brought it on. We thought we were the conspiracy guys, and then we meet incredibly shiny Shart, and I think we're the comfortable that's being disturbed.
You said you might be interested in meeting him. I think I might take a rain check on that one. But anyways, he might start scoping out my leg and start drooling. How did the actual cooking of the foot go down? So it looks like he told his friend's boyfriend chef that was going to cook it up, and let's see here. He marinated it overnight and sautéed it with onions, peppers, salt, pepper, and lime juice. Then he served it on corn tortillas with a tomato sauce. There's a full recipe embedded in the article. Here's the most obvious but necessary question: how did it taste? People think it tastes like pork because in movies we hear it called long pig. I thought everything tastes like chicken, Jason. Is that, I guess, not in this case? It tastes like chicken.
All I know is the weirdest thing that I think I've ever eaten is one of the restaurants here, I think at Fort Collins. They had some alligator, so this is years ago. When I was, I'm actually, for the audience that doesn't know, I'm actually vegetarian, so this is even more bizarre for me. But when I was still eating meat just some time ago, I had alligator, and that stuff doesn't. You get the meat-eating animals; they just taste differently than plant-eating animals, and so this has got to have tasted really weird.
I don't know. I'm a beef eater here, so in my world, alligators for boots and purses, not necessarily eating, but I admire your courage with trying to eat it. But that term long pig originated in places like Papua New Guinea, where they eat wild boar. They're not eating our big, fattened, domesticated pigs that have white meat. Boars don't have white meat; they just don't. And this is again quoting this incredible shiny Shart with his story. I remember eating a heritage pig, and it was some of the reddest, most flavorful meat I'd ever had. It was almost like venison, and I think it's more akin to that. And he's talking about his leg meat, his own leg meat here.
He's actually enjoying it more than regular meat. I think you once still enjoy it too much.
Yeah, this particular cut was super beefy. It had a very pronounced beefy flavor to it. The muscle-like cut was tough and chewy. It tasted good, but the experience wasn't the best. And then the Reddit, or the interviewer asked, you said on Reddit one friend had to spit me into a napkin. What was the rest of that meal like? There was this queasy anticipation. We all looked at each other like, we're going to do this, right? We're doing this? There was very dark humor, which we all already had in spades. Do you think? I think that's why this went so well. We were cracking jokes the whole time. I said at one point, well,
how do you not crack jokes? How do you not sit around and laugh at this? I mean, you have to keep it light. I mean, if you start seriously pondering what you're doing, it's got. You said the one guy spit it out. I mean, that guy probably was actually thinking about it.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, you watched that movie of the South American soccer team that went down in was it the Andes? Their commercial jet went down, and they had to resort to that. Except, I guess the difference was it was not cooked. And I just they were on a frozen mountainside, and the meat was frozen, so they just carved chunks off the dead people for sustenance. And then you got to be able to, if you're starving to death, and this suddenly becomes realistic, but. But this is somebody who has options. He doesn't have to do this. He could do any number of other options, but it's his leg, I guess. This is the whole thing. It's his leg. He'll do what he wants. Here's some of the cracks that he said at the dining event. Well, today was the day I was inside 10 of my friends at once. I got a phone call the next day from a friend saying, "Hey, just so you know, I'm going to leave. Sorry, I'm not going to finish that one." I'll say it. No. It's a biological thing. We can fill in the blank.
I alleviated you from me this morning.
There you go. There was a sense that this was a bonding experience. We could share this really unique experience together, and it was a way for me to close a lid on this part of my life.
It's a bonding experience.
I would have been content with burying it if I really thought I needed to have closure on the deal, but that's just me.
Bonding. They've become closer and better friends because of the eating of my leg. That's essentially what he's saying.
You wrote that this meal helped give you closure on the accident. What do you mean by that? And he says, it sucked the whole time. I remember flying through the air. I remember getting hit. I remember sitting in the forest and taking off my helmet and feeling this burning pain. I looked down and my foot was hanging off. The picture of the foot all broken and mangled and dirty was on the ambulance. But I was very lucky to be in a place where people were around. I was very lucky that a young woman who was just now graduating high school showed up and put a tourniquet on my leg. She had just taken a first aid course. I was lucky to have an off-duty paramedic show up within 15 minutes. There are so many things that happened in the best way possible. I didn't have any other injuries. It was just my leg and a little cut on the back of my neck. Other than that, I was unharmed. I went back to look at the place, and I flew through the trees that are only a foot and a half apart. I was going 45 miles an hour when I flipped, so I don't know how I got out of there with just that injury. I could have very easily died that day.
We're going to come back on the other side of the break. Stay tuned. We'll finish up with this story. Be back in a minute.
Welcome back to the Patriot Radio News Hour. Your guest hosts, Jason and Brian here speaking, talking about a pretty crazy, wacky story. We'll skip over some of the self-reflection parts of the story and get back to the meat of the story.
Yeah, he talks about it being a life-changing experience, how it's been good for him, and we're just going to skip over that just because anybody gets into an accident that's traumatic like that. Obviously, it's life-changing. Obviously, we brought this on the air to get the juicy details of the weirdness of this guy, incredibly shiny shorts.
Hey, I plan to use the excuse if there's some criticism that if it bleeds, it leads. So that's if we can use that. We can use that in this case. So skip it down towards the end of the lengthy interview. This happened 2 years ago. Why did you decide to tell the story now? And incredibly shiny shart, as he likes to anonymously be referred to, responds with, "It's a story that's great to tell someone who already knows you, but it weirds a lot of people out." Excuse me. It's taken me time to get comfortable with it. It's pretty out there. I put it out on Reddit because it's pretty much anonymous. I like the really outrageous stuff that some people post there, and I felt this was a way I could properly contribute to this community.
All right, stop there for a second.
He was trying to outdo him.
Yeah, did you hear that? If you're listening, basically, he says he likes to read the weird stuff on the internet, and so this was his way to one-up it. This is a way to do something weird. So we've talked about on the air about how social media and even Facebook creators have admitted that this will change the way you think and how you react to things in real life. Here is a guy that's reading weird stuff, and whether he's just a weird guy or is it that he's just trying to make his mark on his social media. It says it right there. Let's read it again. I really like outrageous stuff like that some people post here, I felt that this is a way I could properly contribute to the community. So, I mean, one of the reasons we brought this story up is not just because it's totally wacky, but it does show where people's mindsets are in this hyper, technology society that we're in. How there's less human interaction and there's more communication over the internet.
Well, I guess people think it gives them license to be able to post stuff that most normal, rational people would otherwise not really want to get out there.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
and then, like you said, Jason,
leading
people to behaviors that would otherwise be thought of as, I don't think I'm going to post this or try to be famous for it. That seems like that's a lot of what people use social media for, especially the younger. Well, not necessarily younger, the older, not older, but the adults who should be thinking otherwise use it as a way to try to, get their moment in the limelight.
Yeah, and he wants to remain anonymous, but he wants everybody to know about it. I mean, it's that sort of thing. See, to me, I don't know. I guess I'm a little more private person in the fact that if I was in his situation, I don't know. First of all, I wouldn't want to eat my leg. I wouldn't want my friends to eat my leg. And even if I took that, let's just say someone convinced me I should do that with my leg, I don't know if I would want it out there for the whole. Once it's on the internet, it's there forever. If this guy ever wants to back out of this story, I'm sure there's ways of finding out who this guy is. He'll never escape it if for some reason this thing turns against him.
Yeah, well, he towards a couple of more paragraphs left, he talks about it has a stigma. It's associated with cultures that aren't perceived as civilized or situations where people are forced into it to survive. They see it as barbaric, so they wonder why I would go out and do it on a whim. But people eat the placenta after a child is born. That's cannibalism. I don't see any way around it. And that's a very good point, the placenta eating part. Our firstborn was in the People's Republic of Boulder Hospital, and my wife and I were presented with that option as we looked at each other and thought we were in the Twilight Zone. What?
They actually offered that to you.
Huh?
They actually offered for you to eat it?
They did. I mean, I know in the wild, raising cattle, the oftentimes the mama cow, she'll go clean up the placenta afterwards, and I think it's probably a combination of survival, kind of hiding the traces so that predators don't get wind of it, but then it's also, from what I understand, it's also very nutritious, has a lot of protein and minerals in it, so there's that aspect of it. But from a person,
I guess that's good for animals, but I don't know if incredibly shiny shark needs to.
Well, just it. I mean, that's just it. I think that's just it. It's blurring even more the line between civilized people and animals, and we're talking about it and joking about it because there's some funny aspects to it, but there is a very disturbing aspect to it, and the things that we're seeing in this society, not just here in the United States but around the world, it's unsettling for me, especially having a number of children that I brought up in the world. But hey, the tactic
let me read this one part here. I think it's fascinating. He says, what I did was technically not illegal. I didn't sell it. I didn't give it to people without their consent. It was mine. We couldn't find any real laws against weird stuff like this. So I'm not worried about the legal stuff. And here, this is ridiculous. This is funny. I just don't want to be known as the weird cannibal guy. That's why he's saying anonymous. I don't want to be the weird cannibal guy. It doesn't really represent who I am.
It exactly represents who he is.
Yeah, I'm going to do this, but this really isn't who I am. Really?
Yeah, sorry.
Too
late for regrets. It's done. Too late for regrets. It's already, or no regrets. It's already done.
So I think we're done with the story. Hopefully, it was entertaining. We got one more segment. I want to go over our deal. All those that bought at the Wednesday and Thursday shows at $1,325 on those $20 gold pieces, we're knocking you down to $1,300 because of our deal. We got an allotment of new coins in that are going right in at that $1,300 price. Buy them. They're here and ready. We don't have a Friday afternoon show for Colorado, so this is your shot for Colorado and Arizona. 1-800-951-0592. We'll be back. Final segment for the Patriot Trading News Hour. Your host today, Brian and Jason. Once again, the number to call, 1-800-951-0592. I want to cover the deals one more time. We have silver, too. Silver and gold dropping huge today. This is a definite buying opportunity. We have rolls of backdated Silver Eagles. We got 75 rolls, $385 because of the dip in silver. We offered the deal, like I've covered several times today, the St. Gaudens and the $20 libs that we offered at $13.25, with that caveat that if the closing price coming into Friday was lower, we would lower our price. Well, because of the dip in gold and Joe getting us another good deal, we're going to bring everybody down and into that $1,300 price. Any coins ordered today will most likely be the $20 Liberties, and that's $1,300. So 1-800-951-0592. Ryan, you were going to talk about Father's Day coming up.
Yep. We got a Father's Day weekend ahead of us. So as Joe mentioned yesterday, if you've not talked to your father in however long, get that behind you. Reach out to your dad. Wish him Happy Father's Day. And all you fathers out there, good job. Thanks for your role. It's not an easy job. Enjoy the day with your family. Yesterday our Colorado show had some technical difficulties, but it was I was going to mention it was Flag Day yesterday, also President Trump's birthday. And on that note, if you were offended or taken aback by the story that we just covered about the guy serving up his severed leg from an accident to his friends, hey, we're just doing what the president ordered. Top story on Drudge Day: Trump says check out Drudge, and that's where that story came from. So hey, we're just following the president's orders. Sorry about some of the content, but
I'm not too sorry about it. We're going to throw some stuff out there on the air, and I think it'll take. I've been dealing with our customers. I know Arizona may be a little different people, so we'll see how it goes. I know that a lot of the guys I meet with, they like all the content, the really good information that Joe puts out, some of the conspiracy stuff we put out, all the stuff we do seems to be well received, and we want to give people a break. Sometimes give ourselves a break. Just put something out there that is just bizarre, entertaining, fun to listen to, and I'm sure our listeners will let us know if we go too far.
Here's my advice. Let's just have some regular beef hamburgers this weekend. How's that sound?
Yeah, just hey,
chicken.
If you take anything
on the grill, hot dogs.
You might have a good story to tell the family over this holiday weekend. You can if you want an extra burger or two, maybe you can gross a few of your relatives out and you get yourself an extra burger.
Oh boy. Hey, Arizona, hang in there. It looks like you've got a warm, toasty week coming up next week, but looks like you get a break from it tomorrow. Looks like mid-80s, so enjoy that. We're going to have a warm day today, and then we're getting a little taste of monsoon weather coming up for a week or so. So it's been a little warm, unseasonably warm, so we'll take the break if the Lord decides that's what we get.
So something else I want to point out, anybody in Arizona, if you've been listening through the Internet, one of the technical difficulties we had here in Colorado is we've lost our Internet stream. Stay tuned. We're going to get that fixed in the future, and we'll let you know. So everybody, have a good rest of your weekend, and we'll be hearing from you down the line.
Happy Father's Day. Thanks for listening. Thanks for putting up with us.